Hi everyone. Today I'm going to be explaining how our nervous system helps us understand the world and how it moves our body. First, let's look at the nervous system. The nervous system. First part of the nervous system is called the central nervous system, but for short, we'll do CNS. This includes the brain and spinal cord. You kind of want to think of it as the boss of the body because it receives all the information, it helps you make the decisions you make, and it tells your body what to do. CNS, central nervous system. And the second one is called the peripheral nervous system. Or what we can also say is the, for short, PNS. And this is made up of all the nerves that connect the brain to the rest of our body. So pretty much what I want to say is it is connected by two things, which are the PNS, our sensory pathway, and then our motor pathway. Sensory pathway. And every movement we make follows this path. So all the information is being carried into the brain with our senses, as in our sight, our hearing, our smelling, the way we feel, and what we taste. It then goes into the brain, and then what it connects to the motor pathway is the motor pathway carries the commands out into our muscles, causing our bodies to do what our brain is telling us to do. So now we're going to be learning about two new words, two very important words actually, and these are sensation and perception. What sensation is it detects something with our senses. For example, if your eyes were to see, can you see our eyes? Were to see a light coming from a tree. Then connects to our eyes, which sends electrical signals into our brain. What these electrical signals are is basically information traveling into our brain. And then perception happens when your brain understands what it's seeing. So in this case, what our brain understands, what we're looking at, and that's a tree. So your pretty much sensation is detecting, and perception is the concept of understanding. And interesting enough, our brain actually doesn't ever touch or sees the outside world. But what it does is it receives electrical signals and tries to figure out what they mean. If you do not know actually, our brain detects many different things through our senses actually. So we can say that our eyes, we can switch that there to that, detect light. This is an example of what are different ways bodies detect things. Our ears detect, we assume, sound. Our skin detects touch and pressure. And then our tongue detects what I feel is the most important, is taste. All these different kinds of information cannot travel to the brain by themselves. So then special sensory receptors change them into tiny electrical messages. And then what this is all called is sensory transduction. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry about that. Let me switch it to my pencil. No idea why well, I'm sorry about that. But transduction. Yeah. And what this means is all of our senses use the same language to talk to the brain. And the language is called action potentials, or what I've been mentioning before, electrical signals. Now, let's actually compare vision and hearing. Vision begins when vision begins when or I'm getting a brain freeze, when the light enters the eyes. So light enters the eyes. These eyes changes these lights into electrical signals, which then, let's say, electrical signals, which then travels all the way into our brain. Sorry about that. Pen is dying. As you may know, that if you don't know, hearing actually works almost the same way. Sound enters the ears. The ear then changes sound into electrical signals as well. Then all of these signals travel to the brain. The difference is the type of information. Vision detects light, as hearing would detect sound. But both actually send electrical messages to our brain. Let me give you an example. Imagine you're to accidentally, say, touch a hot stove. First, your skin has to feel the heat. Then the receptors in your skin detect it. They then change the heat into the electrical signals, which then travel through the sensory neutrons to the brain. Your brain does quickly understand that the stove is hot and dangerous. Then it sends a message to your motor neurons, to the muscles in your arm. Your muscles contract and you pull your hand away. And this is how the nervous system changes information from the environment into like very purposeful behavior. And to finish every action, it really begins with information from the environment. Our senses detect that information. Since sensory receptors change that into electrical signals, then the brain understands what these signals mean. The brain then sends commands to our muscles, and then our muscles create the purposeful movement. So, the nervous system is always helping us sense, think, and act. And pretty much it. I feel like that's pretty much it for this lesson. Thank you for listening.